Hello, and welcome to the Core B episode of the All B-Side Speedrun tutorial series. In this video, we'll be going over the strats needed to get through Core B quickly and consistently. Now, Core B is full of cycles, and deaths are sometimes extra punishing here because a death can either force you to take a slower cycle or re-enter the room you're in entirely. On another note though, large portions of this video were made in November of 2020, back when I played on controller. And while everything taught back then is still relevant information, I just wanted to let it be known that that is why you'll notice some changing input devices throughout the course of the video here. With all that covered though, let's head right on into 8B. From the very beginning here, you have the opportunity to control Madeline while the darkness is still fading, and the easiest way to do that is just a hyper bunny hop and 2 wave dashes. You can frame greet it a little bit more with some grounded ultras, but it's really not necessary, and it's being done blind, so it'll just be more difficult and less consistent. As the heart gate opens here, you can go for a demo hyper off of it as it lowers, and then a wave dash through the transition. That wasn't quite right. I mean like this. Or you can just do 2 wave dashes. Either way, you want to bunny hop so that you land on the first crumble block there. So, bunny hop to land on the first crumble block, then wait a little bit while you're there, and go for the extended hyper to get over to this next crumble block. And from here, you have a really tight extended demo hyper, where you have a chance of hitting the fireball on the bottom or on the top if you're going too fast or too slow. So this one doesn't really have a great visual cue, so if you're gonna go for it, it'll just take a lot of practice. All I can say about it is you want to get a lot of coyote distance on that demo hyper off of the block. Now the easier strat, you just wait for this fireball next to you to pass your head, then you walk off the crumble block, dash right through this dash crystal, upright to the second to last crumble block, and then upright to the exit of the room. As for a death cycle for the first room here, you'll walk forward a little bit from the respawn point, do a little hop, and then do a midair super off of the crumble block here. And you're going to want to let go of right after you've done the super here so that you don't move too far forward and hit that fireball. So you'll try and get max height out of the super here, and then after that do an up dash into this dash crystal here while you're holding right. Then you'll do a right dash over the fireball, and the next thing you're going to do is a little bit funny. You're going to do a downright dash from a little bit higher than wave dash distance on purpose, because you're trying to get the ultra speed boost out of this. And the way that works is if you don't buffer your jump, like if you make sure to hit the ground and then jump, you'll have gotten a 1.2 times speed boost. That's the basics of it, at least, and that will enable you to jump over this fireball here. After jumping over that fireball there, you're going to fall down to the dash crystal and buffer an upright dash out of it, and then line up a midair demo hyper off of the crumble block, or the second last crumble block there, which can get you over to the wall and just climb up to the top here to the end of the room. Now in this next room, you want to go for the core hyper if you're going for the fastest possible strat. Let me set up a good save state here. The core hyper you want to do off the very, very top of the core block here, which can be difficult to line up, but you have it fling you all the way through to the last conveyor belt, and then you take the core block out of the room. The much safer and easier strat, if you don't want to go for a core hyper, you still grab the kind of the top of the first block there, and then you use that to give yourself the opportunity to right dash through, grab the middle left conveyor belt, and then upright over the second column of fireballs. Then you just do the same exit as you do with the core hyper. As for the death cycles for this room, if you'd like to attempt the core hyper again, what you can do is immediately after dying, you can wait just a little bit, like 0.1 to even up to like a quarter of a second here, just wait that long, and then hold right, jump, and go for a full height corner kick off of that corner just above your head there. And then from there, attempt the core hyper strat again as normal. It's still going to be really difficult because you have to do the core hyper awfully late, but it is about 2 seconds faster than the alternative death cycle here, which is going to be more like this, where immediately after you respawn, you'll just hop and then hop again, trying to grab the higher part of this core block again here. And we're just going to go nice and easy here, 2 upright dashes there, to get us through the room like that. Now from here, we're going to buffer a right and down right dash to this core block, which we want to be doing a hyper off of right before it breaks. If you do it at the exact same moment it breaks, it'll send you flinging upward. It's kind of hard to show that off here, but basically you want to do it right before it breaks, or else something like that might happen. So ideally you want something like this, and then from there the fast strat is, you're going to grab the dash crystal, hit the switch, and wave dash to that first ice ball, dash through the second, then jump off the third, and get to the dash crystal and do 2 up dashes to here. The easier strat, you still do the same thing here at the very beginning. You just want to wait for the fireballs to barely be entering the screen at the bottom there, as you can see. Then you'll jump up to touch the switch, and then come back down for a wave dash to jump off of that next ice block here, or you can go for a demo hyper off the edge, either works. And then left dash onto the final ice block and do the same 2 up dashes to here. As for the death cycle choices for this room, both choices do start with the buffered right dash and the down right dash that you see in the main strat, but instead they diverge by doing a core super here rather than a core hyper. Immediately after this though, you're doing an upright dash to try and land on this platform as soon as possible. If you immediately land here, you can just jump all the way right through both the dash crystal and the switch there, and then you're going to try and come back down here to where you can go for a hyper bunny hop off of the first little ice ball here. Then you'll hold jump on that one and the next ice ball, then just left dash to the final one and do the normal wall bounce exit out of the room. If you instead don't actually make it to land all the way on the ledge though, like if something like this happens where you get here, what you need to do instead is just do a quick climb jump to get to the dash crystal, then another jump up to there, and from here we'll use a visual cue where the ice ball that's closest to Madeline right now, you wait till it's about here where it's lined up with the bottom of that chunk of ice there, then you can extended hyper off the end here to jump on that lower left ice ball, and fully jump off of that one so that you can get a left dash to the final ice ball there, and then just exit the room as normal again here. Then we're going to climb jump after the transition, and then right dash to that first ice block. And then here, you just kind of have to be controlling your jump height to make it so that you get through all these gaps. You'll see if you look at my input display when I'm holding and releasing jump to get me through here. And it's really just making sure to be careful. You do also have to sometimes stop right before that second to last spike wall, just a tiny bit in midair to make sure that you don't hit your head on it. As for the death cycle for this room here, all that really needs to change is how you enter the room here and get onto the ice balls at the beginning. And the way you'll do that is immediately after dying here, you can just buffer a full height super and treat it like an extended super to land on this first ice ball. Then after that, you should just be able to do the rest of the room as normal. Now heading into the next room here, we're going to go for a downright dash through the transition so that we can do a transition hyper. And we want this hyper to be full height so that we can then demo through the spikes here. On a full height hyper, you get 9 frames to do a demo, and this lines up perfectly for that. So this is a really easy demo to go for, and actually makes this room easier than the normal strat would be, in my opinion, because you get to save some stamina not jumping off of the first block. So I'd say definitely try and go for that demo. Now in the next room here, you just want to do a couple little quick hops as you land here, because you get the tiny speed boost. And then you want to be jumping so that you land on the top or barely top right of this bumper. And the reason for that is because you want it to be able to fling you up to hit the side of the next bumper there. If you hit the top left-ish, you're going to be flung in that direction and you might hit the spikes or just not be able to hit the bumper like that. Alright. So then you want to not get a bumper boost off of the third bumper here, because if you bumper boost, it'll get you killed like that. If you accidentally go for a bumper boost, you can try for a sort of Hail Mary demo, and it will rarely work. It's possible, but really not worth it. So just make sure to avoid getting the bumper boost at all. And the same thing for the next bumper. Don't get a bumper boost right here, because it'll fling you into the spikes opposite it as well. Getting to that last bumper is just a right dash and a wall bounce. And then some climb jumps to land on the right side of the final bumper to grab the dash crystal, fall through these spikes, and then dash right through the switch to take the conveyor belt up and out. Entering the first room of burning or freezing here, what we're going to be encountering is a core block that we're going to have to be very specific about how we use it to jump over the first obstacle here. So what we're going to do is we're going to buffer a jump through the transition here, a climb jump, to get us to the right height to fall onto the core block here. And what we're going to need to do is of the core block's path, it has kind of two parts. It pulls down, like from Madeline first touching it, like that, and then it pushes up to boost you away. As soon as it's done pulling down, as soon as it's at the bottom of pulling down, you want to hold a full jump, and that'll still get you a decent boost here. Like that. That should be enough to get you over the top. So after figuring out the jump timing to get that boost there, what you're going to want to do is you're going to get the boost, and then hold right after you've jumped and gotten a little bit of distance in the air already. If you hold right too late, you won't be able to make it over. If you hold right too early, you have a risk of hitting the first spinners that are really close on the right here. But it would be better to be a little bit earlier than later. After that, you can right dash over to this conveyor and then just climb up here until the fireball before you is very close to you. Then as soon as it's very close to you here, you can just do a full height jump over to grab this wall. And when you see the other fireball pass too far to the left for you to hit it anymore, you can fall down here and do a quick wall kick off of this wall over to here. And from here now, we're going to let this conveyor fling us up. We don't have to hold up or anything, don't have to climb jump or anything. Let it fling us up to this little bit here. And we'll just wall kick off of that to the left here. Wait for the fireball to pass, jump over it, and then wave dash to get us through the transition there. As for a death cycle for this room here, all you really need to do is keep track of the fireball. Currently the right of the two fireballs there in the middle. As soon as it is entirely below that little bit of stone on the right there, so right around here, as soon as it's entirely below that bit of stone there, you can start your jump to get on the core block here. And from there, it's the same as you would do it on entry, the entire cycle. So, same exact movement here. We're going to wait for the fireball to get out of our way, then we can wave dash through the transition here. Then the next room up ahead here, what you're going to be doing here is you'll just wave dash through the transition or the demo hyper, depending how you want about it. And then you can be dashing through each of these gaps. The first gap for that switch and the bumper. Then here, you want to do climb jumps to get to the top of that block up above, and then you can just jump all the way over to here. Going into this next room, we have a setup for a demo that saves like 2 seconds, and it's kind of difficult, but totally worth it to learn. So the way you do this is you'll need to be running into the room at full movement speed, so just full walking speed here. And then as you transition, you're buffering a jump, and then holding jump the entire time, and even after bouncing off of the ice ball. So hold jump the entire time, and then at the very peak of your jump, bouncing off that ice ball, you'll dash right and then buffer a right demo. So that should look something like this. And that should be able to get you through for this cycle here. Something you also want to be paying attention to is when you're going for the right dash into right demo, you want to be just about lined up with the right side or middle, so like middle to right side of the first ice block you bounce off of. Because if you're too far to the left, you'll hit the spikes like that. But if you're too far to the right going for it, like this, you might miss that ice block or the dash crystal. So be lined up about on the top of this ice bottle. And then the rest of the cycle will look like this, occasionally holding jump or not holding it at all. So just pay attention to where the jumps are for that room. And if you find the demo to be too difficult or inconsistent, there is a simpler cycle to go for that looks like this. So don't feel like you're forced to go for the demo. It's basically the same thing, it's just the start you go over the top. Pretty simple. As for the death cycle for this room, all you really need to change is the entry. You'll just do a short hyper and an upright dash like that from the very start here. And from here, grab the dash crystal, and everything afterwards should be the same as how you would normally play the room here. Now I have a quick correction to the original tutorial I made back in November of 2020 here. In that version I said that you have to walk a little bit forward into the next room before doing a jump into a corner kick here. What you can do instead though is if you hold down during the transition and then buffer a jump, you can just get a crouch jump where you will be able to fit and get the corner kick for free here. After the corner kick there, you're just going to do a neutral off of the ice conveyor up ahead here. Then you'll do a neutral and an upright dash through that switch. And the rest of this room is mostly just getting off the conveyors, jumping through these gaps, which will take a bit of practice on getting the right conveyor height. Right here, you can be going for a little skip where you don't ride the conveyor and you just kick off the wall, but you have to do that very high on the wall, or you won't be able to make it through the gap here, because if I try to do it from down here, it'll be too low and hit the spikes. It can be recoverable if you get an upright dash perfectly through the gap, but it's difficult, so if you're having trouble with that tiny time save, it's okay to just quickly grab the conveyor instead. This next room here, we got a kind of difficult cycle to deal with, and the way we approach it is we're going to jump and land on the lower end of the very first wall here when we're entering the room. So jump through and grab the lowest bit. Doesn't need to be all the way on the lowest, but you want it to be pretty low. And then you're climb jumping while holding right at the top of each of these conveyors. And it's 2 right dashes here and 1 more right dash to get you to the final set of conveyors there. And on that final set of conveyors, what you'll need to be doing is 3 really quick climb jumps that are short enough to get you over the spike without hitting the fireball above your head. So that's going to take some practice as well, making sure you don't jump too high to hit the fireball and still make it around to the conveyor. Now for the death cycle in this room, we'll use the same initial movement as if we were doing it on entry. That being from the start here, we'll just walk to the right and do a short hop to grab the bottom of the conveyor here. Then we'll jump off the top of the conveyor, and when we're on the right side of this sort of pillar in the background, or the left side of it rather, we'll do a right dash and come over to here. And from this wall here, we want to be about 2/3 up the wall and wait for the fireball below us to get a little too close for comfort. And as soon as it is there, then you're going to do a jump over to the other conveyor on the other side here. Now from this conveyor, we're going to take it up as high as we can here, and then do an upright dash into that bit of stone up at the ceiling here. And then make sure that you're not going to hit that fireball coming down for this dash crystal. And after you grab it, you'll do another right dash to get you near the bottom of this conveyor here. And once you're at the bottom of the conveyor here, you'll do 3 climb jumps to get over to the other side of it. You want that last climb jump to be small though, because if you do it too high, you have a chance of hitting that top fireball. You got it pretty close there depending on your cycle. So just get a small jump over the little spike there to get to the other side. And then when you're over here, if you're a little too fast on the cycle, you'll want to actually fall further down and grab the conveyor from lower so that you're not going to die to this fireball trying to kick off the wall here. Like, that would be the fireball you would die to if you're a little too quick. So if you fell a little bit lower and then grabbed, it would be safer. But either way there, you're just going to grab here, jump off the top of this again to the right, and do an upright dash up to here and a single climb jump, full climb jump to get you to the top. Because if you try and do 2 climb jumps, you'll be out of stamina and then kick off the wall, and that could be disastrous. This next room here, we have another fireball cycle, and I'll start off showing you the slightly more difficult version. Here's the slightly faster cycle, where you have to go for a bounce off of that ice block with a right dash, kind of in the middle of the room. And the way this more difficult cycle works is as we enter, we're doing a hyper that we hold jump for, and then this dash pattern you'll have to follow. And then you want to do 2 upright dashes with the second upright kind of delayed to hit the switch so that you make sure you can hit the ice block that I had just bounced off before this. Then after bouncing off of that ice block, you'll not even hold jump. You'll just bounce off of this next one and fall to the dash crystal. Dash right into the into this ice block, then upright to the dash crystal, and then just right dash through. So upright, 2 right dashes, and then you just bounce off the last couple to the end of the room. I'm going to reset the room here to show the easier cycle if you're having trouble with that one. I'm just going to jump like this, and then you'll do 4 ice block jumps there. I messed it up a little bit. Oh. Yeah, I don't quite have practice with this cycle, admittedly, but I do promise it's a little bit easier to work with. And that's 2 uprights there, and then jumping off of those 2 ice blocks at the end of the full height jump. Now for a death cycle for this room, what we're going to do here is instantly on respawn, we're going to do a full height hyper, and then an upright dash through the first dash crystal here. But we have a dash pattern to do here to simplify the beginning, and that pattern is just 2 upright dashes and 2 right dashes all buffered here. So we'll do the hyper and then 2 uprights and 2 right dashes, like that, buffered back to back there. Then after that right dash, we'll fall and do another right dash through this dash crystal here, and buffer an upright dash out of it, and then delay the upright dash just before the switch. Because if we don't delay it and we buffer it, we're going to fall short of that ice ball here. So delay it a little bit there so that you can actually fall and hit this ice ball. After you hit it, you don't need to press jump for any of these ice balls here. You can just kind of hold right, make sure that you hit them though, make sure you actually land on them. And as soon as you hit the switch here, you can do an upright dash, or actually you'll want to delay slightly after hitting the switch. Upright dash then a right dash through the dash crystal here, and then another upright dash after that right dash. And from here, we're going to fall until we can right dash through this switch, then jump off of that ice ball, and then just jump off the remaining ice balls to the end of the room here. Heading into the heartbeat checkpoint here, the first thing you want to pay attention to is to make sure absolutely do not flip this switch, because that makes this room a lot more difficult because you have to deal with all the lava blocks and the lava walls, and then this awkward jump going for the final dash crystal. In order to avoid all of that, we're just going to wall bounce off this wall, then dash up left through that dash crystal, keeping our 2 dashes until we get up here, using diagonal dashes to get us here. Now, sometimes the beginning here is going to go a little scuffed and you'll hit the dash crystal and only wind up with 1 dash. That's okay. You can use it to get to the core block and then just do a neutral jump on this wall to get up to here anyway. So, going with the later half of the strat here, oops. From here, what we're doing is we're climb jumping into the spring, and then we'll be doing up dashes as we line up about center or very slightly right of the next dash crystal above us, so we can buffer a wall bounce there and go for another wall bounce to get us through the transition. So that should look like this, where you can transition wall bounce up to here. If you're having trouble with this, you might wind up with your dash here. What you need to do is you need to get on this corner and go till your toes barely dangle. Then you can full jump left and right and get up through the transition. Alternatively, an easier strat is instead you'll just do delayed up dashes to get maximum height and then jump up through the wall up here like that, which is safer but just a little bit slower than making sure to hit the buffered up dashes, or the buffered wall bounce rather. Heading into the next room, the cycle we'll be going for is we'll immediately be climbing this right wall to bounce off of that first ice ball so that we can get our stamina back. Then we'll do 2 more climb jumps, a wall bounce, up left, and then 2 uprights through the switch to this conveyor belt. Nice and simple room. Even if you die here, you can just do the same thing on the right wall. You just have to make sure to bounce off of one of the ice balls. Heading into the next room here, we're going to transition climb jump left onto the spring, and then do a delayed left and up left to make sure we beat that fireball that I just didn't beat. I didn't quite do the dashes right. There it is. And then the rest of the fastest cycle looks like this, and that's just kind of a dash pattern you have to get used to. So I'd say, I'll show it one more time here. Go ahead and go back and check out the dash pattern if you're needing to, if you're wanting to take the fastest strat here possible. Now, the alternative, which is slightly slower, is going to look like this. You're the same on the conveyor belts, but you're basically just taking things a little bit safer around the fireballs. Now the death cycle, you immediately jump on the spring and do pretty much similar to the entry cycle, except the dash pattern is a little bit different again, and it's very slow and steady. Up right, up left, up right, all the way out through the room. So, let's see here, or right, up right I guess at the start, so right, up right. Oh wait, I'm not on death cycle. Let's show that again, actual death cycle here. So it'll be right, up, left, up, right, up, left. So the death cycle is very simple there, because it's just kind of do the same thing back and forth over and over. Getting up into the next room here, we're going to go for a transition wall bounce to the right side of the traffic block. And then we'll climb up along to the top of the right side, and not actually to the top of the block though. Then as it launches up, we will jump and dash up through the dream block. Make sure you're slightly to the right as you come out of the dream block, so you can do 2 up dashes after collecting the dash crystal that land you all the way up to the cloud up above, like this. Then you'll do 2 climb jumps on the side of the dash block up above. Get to that dash crystal next to the dash block. Oh, oops, I cloud jumped too early. Let's try that again. 2 climb jumps like that. Then you can be dashing diagonally down or just straight down into those blocks to then get to the core block and dash up to Battle End. The death cycle, on the other hand, is going to look a little something like this, where you kind of have to wait on that middle platform for a bit. That's the only major difference though. Heading up top here now, we're going to immediately go for a hyper corner boost to send us pretty much flying all the way over to here, and we want to make sure to collect this dash crystal along the way. So make sure that you're able to do that, and then land all the way over here. Oh, a little bit too far. Let me just reset that. But once you're here with your dash intact, what you'll be going for is a coyote jump, and then a jump over the lip of this first core block. And for the fastest strat, it's going to look a little bit like this, where we go for an ultra there, off that core block, immediately hit the switch, and then exit the room like that. The corner boost at the very end wasn't quite necessary, I just got that by luck. But the rest of the main strat here, if you find that too difficult, is going to instead look something like this, where we dash to the switch, and we still get this bumper boost, but we might need to pull back to the left a little to make sure that we land on that core block in the middle. And you can also use dashes like that at the exit if you find the down right to up dash too dangerous or difficult. Heading into the next room here, we have a bit of a janky fast strat. We have to go for an extended coyote hyper, or demo hyper even, for more coyote distance, like this, to the switch. So it's a demo hyper off the edge here, and then we have to hit the first switch, and then have the core block fling us up to hit the next. And we just bounce off these ice blocks to the end here, and we want to do some really quick and tiny climb jumps to get us up to this ledge. The reason for that is if we grab the conveyor, it'll just fling us up into the lava instead. Okay, and then for the easier strat, if you have any difficulty with the hard one, you'll be just jumping through after the transition, dashing to that this specific ice block here, then doing a full jump off of the next ice block. So no jump, full jump, land on the switch, and about the same angle to the upper switch. But then when you get to the wall here, you want to do some spam grab, because if you spam press and release grab, you can stay in the same spot on a conveyor belt. So again, just about that angle. You want to spam the release there so that you can make sure you won't have it fling you up into lava. Now for the death cycle for this room, immediately after respawning here, we're gonna walk forward and then do a extended super with some coyote time here. Just a little bit, doesn't have to be a lot. And take it full height to jump off of the first ice ball right here that you see there. So jump off that ice ball, and then fall through the gap to hit the switch here. And then we're wanting to save this dash to the end of the room. So what we can do here is we're gonna walk about to two-thirds to the right on this core block here. And just before it's about to launch us, we can start pressing right and jump. And from there, we can just do two ice balls we'll jump off of here without pressing jump. But then these next two towards the end here, we're going to hold jump the whole way so that we can get to the wall here. And then save our jump for the end of the room over here. Or save our dash, rather. Then you'll just do a hyper through the transition and start the next room here. Again, heading into the next room, you want to be going for kind of an extended demo hyper to make sure you get as much distance as possible. So you can then demo right and dash upright to that conveyor on the far side here. And then you'll ride that conveyor up and climb jump off the top of it to send you to hit the switch and grab the little chunk of wall on the left here, like that. And from here, you're just jumping off, bouncing off that little chunk of wall there, then dashing right and upright through the switch. Now the death cycle for this room isn't so bad. You just need to do a down left dash and then jump right with just a very tap jump back through the transition, so you can do a bunny hop with the hyper momentum, and the strat becomes pretty much the same as the normal entry strat after that. Heading into the next room here, you just have to do core block jumps, and so this is just going to take a little bit of precision. Then the skip at the end is you can just dash right under this final column of lava and then upright to the ledge over here. So for each jump here, you're just, for this first one, you can be jumping here and then walking right, pretty much. Okay, let's be more specific. You land on the middle, then as it reaches the bottom of its momentum, or the bottom of its up and down, or down and up motion, you can start walking right off of it. And then you want to land on the just about the top corner of this core block, because if you land too low, you'll get flung into the wall like that. So we want to land about on the top corner so we can go over the top and do a right dash and an upright to get over to here. Finally, for the heart room, there will be a very long stretch of land at the start here that you'll just want to do repeated wave dashes off of, and then a wave dash off of that first blue block, then an upright and a right dash to this pink block. From here now, we'll go for an extended hyper, an upright and a right dash to the next dash crystal, and then our next right dashes, we want to be having delayed a little bit to make us fall a little bit slower, so we can then do two uprights to this dash crystal here, and then a right dash through the gap. So again, upright, right, kind of delay your right dashes so that you can set up for the uprights to the dash crystal and the right dash through the gap. Then you'll fall to this next pink block down here and go for a wave dash, then an upright, right, upright, or sorry, go for an upright, up, upright, then right dash to get you through. And then you can do 3 up dashes and a right dash to get you onto the platform here. Now while you're on the platform, it will fall down if you're standing on it the whole time. And this can affect a demo that you can go for, like this. So what we do to mitigate that is we do a little bit of a hop right as we get on it, and then we can go for an up dash and a right demo. They cannot be buffered inputs though, the up dash and right demo. There's also a chance you can do it without the hop, but again, it's all about the spacing for the demo. You just kind of have to figure it out since you aren't able to buffer the inputs for it. It's decently forgiving, but it's at the very end of the heart room, so be careful if you're going to go for it. That's all of 8B. If you're learning Core B as an individual level, a solid goal time to aim for would be around 4 minutes, or even under 3 minutes 45 seconds if you're really trying to grind down your times. If you're learning Core B for a full game category though, you should focus more on having a strong average time, so something like 4 minutes 15 seconds or less if you can, since consistency is far more important than speed in the B-sides here. And that's all of the B-sides. Thank you very much to everyone who helped out with this tutorial project by trial running the tutorials, giving feedback, or giving me pointers as I learned the levels myself. To Tiyo, Zap, Vapo, Dan, Isaac, and Cactus for being a part of our little tutorial making group and making contributions however big or small. And an especially huge thank you to Tiyo and Zap for contributing their portions of the series. And finally, thank you for watching, and good luck with your B-side speedrunning.